Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. Is he not aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching? What is the meaning of saying, is he not aware that Allah is watching? Allah is watching anyway. Whether you are aware or you are not aware. Whether you accept Allah or you deny Allah. Allah is watching. Allah is watching the Muslim. Allah is watching the one who denies Allah. So why is this point of awareness? Is he not aware? Am I not aware? Are you not aware that Allah is watching? Because a person who is aware that Allah is watching is only a person who does two things. One, he recognizes Allah Jalla wa Ala. For him, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching is not an incidental thing. It is not something that can be ignored. It is not something that does not matter. It is something which is the essence of his life. It is something that he is constantly aware of. It is something that he understands the consequences thereof. It is something that he seeks actively to bring about in his own sense of awareness, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. The one who is aware that Allah is watching is the one who believes in Allah, the one who has faith in Allah, the one who has tawakkul on Allah, the one who recognizes Allah, the one who loves Allah, the one who fears to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way whatsoever. First part. And the second part is that that person will never consciously disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never. Because he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. He knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me now, as I am sitting here, as I am speaking. So this person will never consciously disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will never ever do something which he knows displeases Allah. And if it is a matter of doubt where he does not know whether this displeases Allah or not, he will not touch it, he will not do it until he clarifies this doubt from people of knowledge. And if he does something which incurs the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unknowingly, then immediately, as soon as he becomes aware of that, he makes tawbah. He never consciously disobeys Allah. And if, as happens for us, if we disobey Allah unconsciously, without either because we don't have the knowledge or because we were unaware at that time, for some reason we happen to do something which we know causes the displeasure of Allah, then what does this person who is aware that Allah is watching, what does he do? Immediately he makes tawbah. No delay whatsoever. If he is sleeping in his bed and in the middle of the night, if he suddenly realizes that, Wallahi subhanAllah, I disobeyed Allah in this way, he will get out of bed. He will get out of bed. He will go and make wudu. He will make 2 rakah salah and he will ask the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in sajda. He will not even wait until he normally wakes up. He will not even wait until he normally wakes up. Because he knows that he may not wake up. He knows that he may not wake up. If he knows that he has disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he continues to sleep without making tawbah, then he knows that he may not wake up. I'm not saying that it is a shart of tawbah that you have to go and make 2 rakat salah and so on and so forth. I'm just saying that this is the ihtiyat. This is what the one who is aware that Allah is watching, this is what he will do. Even though tawbah is acceptable, even if he does not go through the whole process of making wudu and doing salah, even though if he makes tawbah, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept. But this person who is aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, does more than what he is required to do. A person who is aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, his tongue will not consciously say anything which will displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If his tongue has to work, he will say something which is good. Or he will make the dhikr of Allah. Or if there is nothing that he has to say which is good, then his tongue will remain silent. This person who knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching will never see anything which he knows displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows that it is the khudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if he sees something which Allah has made haram, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to take away his eyesight right then and there. And he will be blind for the rest of his life. He knows this because he is aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, and he knows who Allah is. This is a person who knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. He will never hear anything which he knows that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the qudrat to make him deaf for the rest of his life. This person who knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, his hand will never rise to do something which displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His hand will never rise to break the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He knows that if he takes a razor, if he is a man, if he takes a razor and shaves his beard, it is the khudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for paralysis to hit him, and he will never raise his hand again. He knows that Allah can do this, and he does not invite this. He does not challenge the khudrat of Allah. He does not say, let me see what you will do. I will break the sunnah of your Nabi every morning. I will begin my day with breaking the sunnah of your Nabi. Let me see what you can do. He does not say this. He does not say this by his tongue, and he does not say this by his action, because he knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ghira. Allah has ghira. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make it possible that he will never raise his hand again. Because he fears Allah. Because he knows that Allah is watching. A person who knows that Allah is watching, he will never allow his leg to go in any direction which displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter what. The person is aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, and the condition of being aware that Allah is watching is that you are not aware of anyone else who is watching. You don't care if anyone else is watching or not. You don't care about the approval of the people. The whole world and all who it contains, their entire opinion is not worth a piece of trash. Neither their approval nor their disapproval. But the pleasure of Allah? The pleasure of Allah cannot even be described. What is the value of the pleasure of Allah? A person who is aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching is like somebody who is looking directly into a 1,000-watt halogen bulb. What happens if you look directly into a 1,000-watt halogen bulb and then you turn around and you look this side? What happens? Do you see anything? No. You only see that light. You only see that light. That light has completely dazzled you and blinds you to everything else. Completely. Once you have looked into that light, you are completely and totally blind to everything else. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this my condition and to make this your condition. My brothers and sisters, let me remind myself and you that if you disobey Allah, remember this, that not only can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish you right then and there, but also you are setting an example for your children. You know what you are teaching your children? You are teaching your children that it is okay to disobey Allah. You know what that means? It means that the child now will disobey one day the order of Allah that he should honor you. One day that child will treat you like a servant. One day that child will dishonor you. One day that child will make you cry and beg for one kind word because you taught him that it is okay to disobey Allah. You taught him. You taught your child this, that it is okay to disobey Allah. He said, my father used to disobey Allah. My mother used to disobey Allah. So what if I disobey Allah? Remember very well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show you the result of your deeds in this world itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends warners. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends warners. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends people who will again and again and again and again, like a broken record, keep on warning you, don't disobey Allah, don't invite the anger of Allah on your own head, not because it does anything to them, but because they are interested in you and because they want to ensure that nothing bad happens to you. They will warn again and again and again. And remember, this is not forever. This is not forever. A day will come when the voice of the warner will be silenced. And then the amr of Allah will descend. The amr of Allah will descend. Don't invite that. Do not invite that. Don't play games with Allah. I have said this so many times. Don't play games with Allah. Don't invite disaster on yourself. Don't play games with Allah. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, is he not aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching? And what happened to the one? What happened to the one about whom this ayah came? What happened to the one who continued to live his life, not caring whether Allah is watching or not? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused him to become dhaleel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused him to be disgraced in this world and to be remembered with disgrace until the day of judgment. What was the name of Abu Jahl? Umar bin Hisham. Who remembers Umar bin Hisham? Whoever knows even the name of Umar bin Hisham? But the whole world knows the name Abu Jahl, the father of ignorance. The whole world knows the name Abu Jahl. He is remembered with disgrace all his life. Why? Because he lived his life, he chose to live his life challenging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. He said, watch if you want to watch. I will do whatever I want to do. And what was the result? A life of disgrace and the hellfire in the hereafter. Don't invite that on yourself. Do not play games with the orders of Allah. What did you hear in the surah, in Surah Al-Fajr? Yasin wal Qur'anil Hakim innaka laminal mursalin ala siratum mustaqim. What did you ask before that surah? Ihdinas sirat al-mustaqim. Whose sirat is the sirat al-mustaqim? Whose sirat? The sirat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I did not say that. My Rabb said it. Your Rabb said it. Innaka ala siratum mustaqim. Verily you are among the messengers of Allah. And verily and surely you are on the sirat al-mustaqim. You are on the same sirat that these fellows asked for just now. And after they make salah, they go and break the same sirat. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Astaghfirullah al-azim. If you don't want to understand, I don't know what will make you understand. But remember, if you want to continue to disobey Allah, then you are inviting the anger of Allah. You are inviting the anger of Allah. Don't play games with Allah. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. We have spent 5 days here. We came here only with one purpose, and that was to learn how to please Allah. And we engaged ourselves in activities which we know will insha'Allah incur the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't adulterate that with disobedience. Allah has given you a beautiful time. Don't spoil that time by mixing disobedience with the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't spoil that time by mixing disobedience with the obedience of Allah. Don't destroy your own life. Do not destroy your own life. What fools are those who insist on destroying their own life? How blind are those who do not see that in the breaking of the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are inviting the la'nat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on their faces and their heads. How much what blindness is this? What blindness is this? How can you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can you deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? To break the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the denial of Allah. Don't do this to yourself. Do not disobey Allah. Do not disobey Allah. Do not lie. Do not stand on the musalla and lie in salah. Don't do that. Do not do that. I don't know how else to say this. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah ya. Let us live our whole life aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Doing everything we can, the smallest to the biggest, to please only and only Allah. Let us become blind to the rest of the world. The rest of the world does not matter. Their opinion does not matter. What they think about you does not matter. What matters is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks. What matters is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. In Surah Al-Yasin, in those ayat, we heard about what happened to the man who came to warn the people. Did he incur the pleasure of the people or the displeasure of the people? The displeasure of the people. And they killed him. And what happened? قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. He has to go to Jannah. And the man said, قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ بِمَا غَفَرَ لِي رَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. He said, I wish my people knew how my Rabb honored me. And what did his Rabb do? His Rabb said, I will tell the people. I will tell the people. I will not even send a messenger to tell the people. I will tell the people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put those ayat in Surah Al-Yasin to be recited till the day of judgment. About a man whose name also we don't know. About a man who was not a Rasul. He was not a Rasul. But who was he? He was a man who lived with that awareness. Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. He was a man who said, I will do what is right. I don't care. If my people don't like me, was it his job to come and say what he had to say? Was it his job? No. He could have believed in the Rasul himself and kept silent. It is not his job. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent 2 Anbiya. He sent a 3rd one. Was this Nabi Thalis? It was their job. They were preaching. And my job is I accept. La ilaha illallah, I accept. Khalas, my job is over. What was the need for the man to come? وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. He came running, he made sa'i. What was the need for him? Do you think that man was so foolish that he did not know that doing this action would incur the displeasure of his friends? But you know what? He was a man who had looked into the halak and bulb. He was blind to everything else. He was blind to everything else. Could not see anything else. People don't like which people, what people, who people. What do I care people don't like? I'm only interested in one thing. Does my Rabb like or not? Does my Rabb like or not? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only caused him to die a death, which I ask for myself, and this dua I will not make for you. Make it for yourself if you want it. Not only did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him a death like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused his name to be mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused his memory to be alive. Not just in stories, but in his own kalam. His memory to be alive until the day of judgment. Until this surah is recited, the story of this man will be recited. And then remember the ayat after that. Until this man came on the scene, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to those people as the people to whom He sent His Anbiya. But once the man came on the scene, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to those people as the people of this man. وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said, alright, you kill the da'i, you kill the one who invites you towards good, and the door is closed. The hujjat is complete. The hujjat is complete. And then Allah will do what He has to do. And see the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. See the contempt with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about those who think they are strong. وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ مِن بَعْدِهِ مِن جُنْدٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَمَا كُنَّا مُنزِلِينَ. Allah said, we didn't send armies from the heavens. We don't have to send armies from the heavens. إِن كَانَتْ إِلَّا سَيْحَةً وَاحِدًا. One sound. One angel says, boo, and they are gone, dead. All the great people who think they are so strong. Fear Allah, people. Ittaqullah. Fear Allah. Don't play games with Allah. Fear Allah. Because in fearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is goodness for you. And in not fearing Allah, in disobeying Allah, is destruction for you in this world and the next. My job is to tell you as clearly as possible the consequences of actions as I understand them. Whether to believe me or not, whether to try and play those games or not, and discover for yourself, is up to you. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Fear Allah or live without the fear of Allah and see the consequences of both. See the consequences of raising your hands and your du'as being accepted before you lower your hands. And see the consequences of bashing your head against a stone wall and nothing happens. Consequences of both. My brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this world a place of asbab, a place of means. In this world we have to do something for a result to happen. In Tahajjud today we heard the ayat of Surah Al-Maryam. And we heard the story of Maryam alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her a son, not in the normal way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for her food, not in the normal way. But even with that, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to Maryam alayhi salam? What must she do to the nakhla, to the date palm tree? Have you ever tried to shake a date palm tree? The problem with us is just words. Have you ever seen, how many of you have actually seen a date palm tree? Have you ever tried to shake it? खाली सुन लिए मरियम अलैहिस्सलाम ने झाड़ को हिलाया. A date palm tree is like a pillar. How does one woman, young woman, she can shake the tree? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shakes the tree. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires Maryam alayhi salam to go and touch the tree. You have to make the effort. Even when the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes, you have to make the effort. We are responsible for the means. We are responsible for the actions. The results Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will produce, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that small action and He will give it barakah. Musa alayhi salam, single man. He does not have CNN behind him to broadcast his message. He doesn't have YouTube videos for people to watch. Yes? Single man. But he goes and stands and he speaks the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses Fir'aun, Allah uses the Pharaoh of Egypt to gather all the people of Egypt in one place. Who did all this arrangement to allow Musa alayhi salam's message to go to the largest number of people possible? Who actually did that arrangement? Pharaoh. Pharaoh. Who called all the people? Pharaoh. Who incurred all the expense for that? Pharaoh. देखो अल्लाह की शान क्या है. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not get a mu'jiza that when Musa alayhi salam is speaking, his voice is reaching all over the world. No. And who does Allah use? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send some other Anbiya and so on and say, God, the good people? No. The same enemy of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses him to gather all the people of Egypt together. Why? So that his Nabi can speak to them. असबाब अल्लाह पैदा करते हैं, आप खड़े तो हो. And that will not happen if you stand there in disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to Ibrahim alayhi salam after he built the house? He said, call the other. He said, Ya Allah, who is here? That's not your problem. He said, they will come. They will come through the valleys on lean camels. And we know they come. When one adhan of Ibrahim alayhi salam echoes in the world, not only geographically, but also through the centuries, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to keep the Kaaba, and until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to send people to make tawaf, everyone who is coming to the Kaaba is coming in answer to the adhan of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah will use you, but if you want to be used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then stand up and get recruited. Stand up and show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are only and only interested in the pleasure of Allah. No matter who tells you to disobey Allah, if somebody tells you to disobey Allah, he is an enemy of Allah. Whoever tells you to disobey Allah is an enemy of Allah. Even if he is your own father, even if he is your own son, even if it is your own mother, he or she is an enemy of Allah. If they are telling you to disobey Allah, if they are telling you to go against the Sunnah of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your job is to disobey them. Go and read the ayat of Surah Al-Isra. Your job is to disobey them if they tell you to disobey Allah. Warn them, tell them to fear Allah. Do not obey them. There is no obedience to the creature in the disobedience of the Creator. There is no obedience to the human being in the disobedience of Allah. Even if it is your own parents. The same surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, obey the parents, but if they tell you to disobey Allah, disobey them. You came here in order to learn how to connect with Allah. And how do we connect with Allah? By obeying Allah. There's no rocket science, there's no great daqaiq of masail. There's no great mystery that you have to understand. Very simple. Obey Allah. And what is the way of obeying Allah? Is to follow the sunnah of His Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There is no obedience of Allah in the disobedience of the Nabi. There is no obedience of Allah in going against the sunnah of the Nabi. The one who goes against the sunnah of the Nabi is disobeying Allah. وَمَنْ يُطِيعِ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهِ. Surah An-Nisa. Go read the ayah. Allah said, the one who obeys my Nabi has obeyed me, has obeyed Allah. I remind you and myself, let us be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us ensure that we always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Let us remember and do from now on, right now, make a niyyah that from this moment onwards, we will never consciously say or look at or listen to or do something with our hands or feet or with any of our senses that is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We make this niyyah, inshallah. We'll never again do anything. Whatever has happened has happened. We make tawbah, and that is why tawbah is there. Tawbah is there so that we turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We make istighfar. We ask Allah to forgive us. Tawbah, we turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does Allah do when you make tawbah? Not only does Allah forgive, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala converts all those sins into good deeds. Alhamdulillah. All the disobedience that has happened till now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn it into good deeds. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to make tawbah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us istiqamah to stay on the correct path, the siratul mustaqim. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our gathering here. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to convert all of these deeds into good deeds, which will be on our scales on the day of judgment. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put the love of His Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam into our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put His love into our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our lives completely and totally in obedience to Allah Jalla wa ala and on the sunnah of His Habib Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to fill our lives with the barakah of living our lives in this way. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
One small question.